Good afternoon, everyone. I'll read a brief statement and then I'll take some questions afterwards. Shortly after 10:30 last night, officers were sent to the intersection of Kona and Konaiki Streets on a report of a male stabbing another male with a knife. When the officers arrived, a male told them that he had been threatened with a knife by another male. He identified the suspect as a male who was holding a knife and walking away from the scene. Officers spoke to the male for 1 to 2 minutes and repeatedly ordered him to drop the knife, but the suspect refused. The suspect then ran towards the officers with the knife raised in the air. 2 officers fired at the suspect, striking him multiple times. Officers at the scene administered first aid to the suspect until EMS arrived. Paramedics provided treatment at the scene before transporting the suspect to a hospital. A security guard who was standing about 30 yards away was struck in the leg by a bullet that may have ricocheted off another object. She was treated at the scene by paramedics. No officers were injured. The 2 officers who discharged their firearms have 1 and 2 years of service. One is on administrative leave and the other is on his scheduled days off. The suspect is currently hospitalized in critical condition. He has not been arrested at this time, and an arrest warrant for 3 counts of first-degree attempted murder is being prepared. The officers were wearing body cameras, and the footage is being reviewed. Investigators are also recovering surveillance video of the area. I will take questions at this time.
What's the identity of the suspect, and does he have any priors?
We're identifying the male as a 48-year-old male at this time, and he does have 1 prior conviction, felony conviction for criminal property damage.
How are the officers?
They're shaken up, but they're doing okay. They weren't injured as a result of this incident.
So how far was the suspect from the officers when they opened fire?
So the incident occurred on Kona Street, and the officers were at the Mauka side of the street, and the male was initially, when they were talking to him, in the middle portion. So maybe about 30 feet or less.
And then the suspect ran towards them, walked towards them?
He ran towards them with the knife. Initially, as the officers were talking to him for a brief period of time, he had the knife in his right hand down at his side. But when he ran towards them, he raised the knife above his head and rushed towards them with the knife in his hand.
Can you describe the knife for us? How big was it? What did it look like?
I didn't see the knife personally, but from what I understand, it's a pretty good sized knife.
Where's the suspect shot, and how many times?
So that's still part of our investigation. I don't want to give you information that's not accurate, but he was shot multiple times, possibly in the arm and the torso.
Were there other people around when this was going on? Because you said that security guard was struck in the leg.
Yes.
How many people were around when all of this was unfolding?
There were people in the area. As you know, Ala Moana's a busy area. It was 10:30 at night, so there were individuals. There were even cars passing by. However, officers were spread out through the area, and as people were coming to the area, they made sure to keep them clear.
And then how close did the suspect get to the officers? You said he ran towards them. They were initially 30 feet apart.
Yes.
How close did they end up getting to one another?
From my understanding, it was fairly close, within arm's reach. Any other questions?
Yes, the security person, what type of injury did they sustain?
Very superficial. It didn't even break through her clothing, and it didn't break her skin. She was treated at the scene by paramedics and released.
Does HPD plan to release that body cam video?
So we're still determining. It's still very early on in our investigation, and we're determining what the video will mean for our investigation. However, once we determine that it won't jeopardize either our investigation or our ability to properly prosecute this case, then we will be releasing it upon request.
And then all 3 body cams were on?
I believe so. That's part of our investigation, but I know that there was body camera. And just to clarify, there's only 2 officers who shot, yeah. Question, sir?
Yeah, was a taser used at all, or was it
I'm sorry?
a taser?
A teaser was not used in this incident. However, there was a less lethal that was in the process of being deployed at the time. However, the incident unfolded so quickly that officers didn't have an opportunity to deploy their less lethal. I'll take one last question.
How many rounds were fired?
Multiple rounds, that's part of our investigation. And at the end of our investigation, we should be able to determine exactly how many rounds were discharged. Thank you.